Ulysses, Part 2, The Wanderings of Odysseus, Episode 10, Wandering Rocks. The time is 3 p.m, or more precisely 5 to 3. The scene is streets. The whole city is the setting for this one, as we follow a lot of people in different places and their interlinkings with each other. The colour is rainbow. The technique is Labyrinth. Correspondences include the Liffey is the Bosphorous, the Viceroy is the European Bank, Conmee is the Asiatic Bank, and groups of citizens are Symplegades. The science or art is mechanics, and the meaning is it's a hostile environment. The organ, like the people through this, are blood. Symbols include Christ and Cesar, errors, homonyms, synchronisation, and resemblances. Other characters include Bloom, Dedalus, Boylan, Molly, the general people of Dublin. The plot. The superior, the very reverend John Conmee S.J. reset his smooth watch in his interior pocket as he came down the presbytery steps. Father Conmee starts out towards Artane and interrupts a courting couple. Corny Kelleher watches on as the priest gets on the tram. A one-legged sailor struggles on, taking what money is offered. The Dedalus sisters look for what food they can get. Blazes Boylan ogles one girl while buying a fruit basket for another. Dedalus meets his Italian instructor Artifoni. Miss Dunn puts down her copy of The Woman in White and gets back to work. Ned Lambert has a chat with the Reverend Love. Lenihan and McCoy cross town for the Ormond Hotel. They pass Bloom, who's looking through books before settling on Sweets of Sin for Molly. Dilly and Daddy Dedalus discuss their destitution. Tom Kernan thinks his thoughts just before missing the Viceroy's carriage pass by. Dilly bumps into Stephen at a bookstall where he impotently notes his family's despair. Father Cowley tells Simon Dedalus he owes money to Reuben J. Martin Cunningham notes that Bloom not only pledged good money to his fund for the Dignams, but paid up too. Buck and Haynes sit down for coffee. Cashel, Boyle, O'Connor, Fitzmaurice, Tisdall, Farrell walks on and notes the coming of a revivalist. Paddy Dignam's son Patrick gets out of the house of mourning and hopes his father in purgatory thanks to his late confession. The Viceroy and his wife in their carriage cross the city, passing many, including the man in the Macintosh. Mr. Bloom alone looked at the titles. Fair Tyrants by James Lovebirch. Know the kind that is? Had it? Yeah. He opened it. Thought so. A woman's voice behind the dingy curtain. Listen, the man. No, she wouldn't like that much. Got it her once. He read the other title, Sweets of Sin. More in her line, let us see. He read where his fingers opened. All the dollar bills her husband gave her were spent in the stores on wondrous gowns and costliest frillies. For him. For Raoul. Yes, this. Here. Try. Her mouth glued on his in a luscious, voluptuous kiss, while his hands felt for the opulent curves inside her deshabille. Yes, take this. The end. You are late, he spoke hoarsely, eyeing her with a suspicious glare. The beautiful woman threw off her sable-trimmed wrap, displaying her queenly shoulders and heaving embonpoint. An imperceptible smile played upon her perfect lips as she turned to him calmly. Mr. Bloom read again. Here, Stephen said. It's all right. Mind Maggie doesn't pawn it on you. I suppose all my books are gone. Some, Dilly said. We had to. She is drowning. Agenbite. Save her. Agenbite against us. She will drown me with her eyes and hair. Lank coils of seaweed hair around me, my heart, my soul, salt green death. We. Agenbite of Inwit. Inwit's Agenbite. Misery. misery. Based on the chapters, by the start of this chapter, we are past the halfway point. But in terms of pages, in reality, it's closer to a quarter of the way there. Nevertheless, this functions like an intermission in some ways, though Joyce is cruel to have us come back for a longer second half. Broken into 19 sections, which echo in many ways the 18 chapters of the book, we depart from focus on Bloom and Dedalus for the most part, to have a look at what else is happening in the city. For many readers, the real-world characters of Father John Conmee and the Viceroy are the connecting lines of the chapter. It's argued that they represent two dominant forces in Ireland at the time, Church and Crown. Some describe their amblings as a game of chess, where everybody else are the pawns. Meanwhile, the day-to-day lives of the Irish happen in between them, often encompassing the lewd and the unmentionable, with Bloom buying dirty books for his wife, Boylan flirting with women, and so forth. Whoever is in charge of these people, this is to be the expectation. Normal, earthy life will continue. This is kind of simultaneously the hardest and the easiest chapter. It's very easy to read, but difficult to connect with everything else that's going on. In some senses thematically, in some sense just in terms of following the story. If you really want to tie it to the rest of the novel, have a look at the excellent link I have below, which go through the scenes one by one, talking about and connecting with the rest of what's going on. Indeed, in its own way, it kind of reads like a novel of itself, though one could just as easily read it backwards as forwards. Knowing what is to come in this chapter is just as useful as knowing what has passed before. And also, for all the journeys we dip in on, it will be worthwhile to note that even a flyer for a revival meeting blowing in the wind shows up in a few of these. Everything is interlinked and everything comes back. Everything is a portent of what is to come. Elijah is coming and going, and hither and thither.